Hey guys, what's up? Today we're gonna take a look at 10 amazing retro hidden JRPG gems. What is retro to me personally? PSP and Nintendo DS era and below, okay? Not quite so PS3 yet. That's just my opinion though. Alright, so let's begin. Number 10, Paladin's Quest. The real name of this game is Luminous, and it's part of a duology, but we only got the first one. The plot follows a magic school student named Chesney who accidentally activates a sealed machine that unleashes evil in the world, a sci-fi setting that soon turns into a dystopia because of his actions. You'll explore from different towns in an overworld, including characters from different races. Random encounters exist and they can be a bit high or low depending on the area. Also, you have regular attacks and several abilities or magic spells, but everything uses up HP instead of MP. It isn't that difficult because of this, but you'll encounter some spikes throughout the game. Also, there are 8 elements instead of the classic 6, this one including Sphere, Sky and Heart. Okay, apart from the regulars, inventory is limited and healing items come in bottles that you can refill in town, and only some characters can use them. Apart from that, you can't change anyone's equipment or spells other than the ones from your 2 main characters. So yeah, it's a very unique game with a different take in what was slowly becoming a cliché in battle and gameplay mechanics back then, but it is because of these penalties, believe it or not, that the game's pretty damn good and interesting. The sequel has been fan translated since forever, but I haven't played it yet. Number 9, Nostalgia. It's a steampunk setting, but revolving around real places in the world such as London, New York, Tokyo, etc. In fact, these cities will be some of the main towns of the game. Our MC Edward here is the son of a famous adventurer that one day mysteriously disappears, so he starts a quest trying to find his dad, but not without getting into trouble with the Cabal, technically the bad guys in the game. So it's got an interesting concept with neat retro-looking graphics, classic gameplay style, and an okay soundtrack. But obviously what stands out the most is the steampunk look within the confines of the real places or what they looked like during the 19th century. It's also a game that relies heavily on the NPC interaction, as talking to people is what reveals clues on solving certain puzzles, unlocking events, or actually progressing through the story. As far as the rest, you've got your regular stores in towns, your average skill learning mechanic, a normal leveling system, and of course, turn-based battles from random encounters. Nothing out of the ordinary here, just nice and simple turn-based combat. But soon in the game you'll get a Zeppelin to travel around the world map, and similar to Skies of Arcadia, you'll get into ship battles with the same conditions as in a regular human battle. In conclusion, this is a fun game with some original ideas but also taking influence from many classic JRPGs out there. Number 8, Crimson Gem Saga. This is a Korean RPG, not Japanese. Its real name is Astonisha Story 2, an indirect sequel to a PSP strategy RPG that I never talk about because it's a mediocre game at best. Crimson here is a much better game and it's no longer a tactical RPG. Killian goes into a military academy to become a knight, but soon ends up caught up in the search for the Crimson Gem. In terms of gameplay, you'll find yourself playing a very traditional RPG with town-to-town exploration but with no random encounters. Enemies can be seen on areas or dungeons and you can ambush them to gain the advantage in battle. This one controls in turns with a party of 4 allies. Elemental strengths and weaknesses apply here for everybody. Combination attacks exist between 2 or more characters to create even more powerful skills apart from their regular moves. And there's also one combination attack between the whole party, which is the highlight of combat, especially for the bosses. I mean, this is a really hard game and it's quite grindy, but overall, a solid turn-based gem on the PSP with a very retro look. Number 7, Summon Knight Swordcraft Story 2. I've covered the first game a few times in the past, but the second one only once, maybe? It isn't a direct sequel, so you can start with this if you want to, though both are equally good in my opinion. You select between guy or girl and the summoned creature that will accompany either. The story is about some bad guys trying to unseal an evil god, so your main character is here to stop that. It's a sweet comedy like its predecessor, but it takes itself seriously when it needs to. Music and graphics are stellar here, with colorful and cheerful visuals and pixel art, as well as extremely catchy tunes with upbeat sounds. The game has a crafting system, meaning you can craft 5 different types of weapons, but you can only equip up to 3. Thankfully, you can switch between these 3 at any time, and some will be more useful than others in battle. These weapons break, but they only break when used in battle. To craft them, you'll need to find specific materials out there or buy them at the stores, which you can later also use to upgrade them. And these weapons can be repaired in your workshop. Alright, the battle system is entirely in 2D with only one playable character, your MC. Controls are a bit less clunky than before and a bit more refined, including the jumping, but it's still a bit sluggish, especially depending on the weapon equipped. You can only equip a few items or spells during battle, and spells are executed by your summoned creature by triggering them when their bar is full. The game's harder than the first one, with some tough as nail bosses, but nothing you won't overcome with skill and grinding. Especially since the encounter rate in this game is also just as high as the one in the first one. Still though, it's a pretty damn good follow-up. Number 6, Luminous Arc 3. This is the third game in the Luminous Arc series, but the last one released on the DS. We didn't get it, but a fan translation has been available for quite some time, which is very well done, by the way. Once again, it takes place in its own universe with original setting, story, and characters, unrelated to its predecessors except for a few weird things that I won't say to avoid spoilers, related to the character Fatima, as you can see right here. Anyway, plot follows the orphan Levi, living in a peaceful village until an evil sorcerer from the race of Felicia kills his childhood friend. That only encourages Levi to become a knight of magi in the Urgard Academy to fight the Felicia. It's a good story with some interesting and memorable characters, including the usual fan service. For the third time, the graphics don't disappoint, resembling the 16-bit era with gorgeous pixel art. Music is great too, I can still hum a few themes every now and then after having played it. The gameplay, however, is a bit different from its 2 predecessors, primarily because you can now freely move around within the confines of the academy. It's treated as a base of operations with NPCs to talk to, shops, and bonding scenes after every main mission. Bonding as in you can get a different ending depending on the girl you bonded with the most. It works identical as in the previous 2 games by making decisions to increase points with them. Shops are also a bit different here. You have to collect materials to create new weapons so you can buy them after they're developed. The same requirements are necessary for upgrading them, so as a result, economy in this game is a bitch. You'll find yourself grinding on optional missions and side quests a hell of a lot just to get enough money to buy 1 or 2 weapons or pieces of armor. Thankfully, armor can be purchased at the store with no strings attached. But you'll also grind a lot since this is the hardest game in the trilogy with some nasty spikes. The view is still isometric everywhere you go, but the map design is a bit more tricky with most enemies rushing towards you as soon as the battle starts. Characters move on grids and each has their own elemental strengths and weaknesses, so combat is identical as before, with only a maximum of 6 party members available per mission. Characters still have their special abilities that can only be used once if at least 1 bar down there is full, and just like before, characters have a limited inventory of items and magic stones they can equip and or bring into battle. This game is the longest of the 3, but also the hardest like I mentioned. Still though, it's a pretty decent strategy RPG on its own, which is definitely worth checking out. Number 5, Megami Tensei. One of the many spin-offs of the Megami Tensei franchise is this one, and one of the very few that are tactical. It never left Japan back in the mid-90s, but a fan translation exists for it and its sequel. I've only played the first one though. There's barely, and I mean barely, any story here, but it follows the classic plot of the demon apocalypse, with them trying to take over the world and you trying to stop them. You control 2 main characters here, the guy and the girl he rescues after a couple of missions. Both are the only ones that can summon demons as allies to control in battle. You can summon as many as you can actually, but each requires a standard fee, so you have basically an economy system to balance things out. Thankfully, summoning is the only purpose money serves in the game. You'll find some stores out there in the world map, but they don't take money, only gems to trade them for equipment or other demons. Also within the world map you'll find the Cathedral of Shadows, so you can fuse 2 of them to get a different one. But you can also do this yourself in battle. Simply by moving one demon onto another, you can start the fusion, but obviously, the resulting demon cannot be above your level, as always with the Mega 10 games. Anyway, the battle system couldn't be more classical. There's a player phase and an enemy phase. You'll have your chance at the beginning of each mission to move around or summon as many demons as you can, but once you're done, no one will be able to act until the next player phase. So you move around on grids with a clunky and outdated interface, including the menus. Upon attacking an enemy though, or getting attacked, these first-person animations will play out. If the attack is close-ranged, there will be a counter-attack every time. The same animation will show up when you're trying to recruit demons. It's quite a simple battle system, but there's a few things worthy of notice. First, demon recruitment is influenced by the moon phase and it increases by 10% with each phase. However, the lower it is, the more powerful the enemy attacks will be. But the higher it is, the weaker they'll be and your chances of recruiting them will increase. Negotiations are classic of SMT games, as in you'll have to give them money or items to have them join you. Another thing to notice is that your 2 main characters level up like in any SMT game by defeating enemies, and once you do, you'll learn 1 point to increase a specific stat. You'll also find equipment in treasure chests that you can equip immediately during your character's turn. However, your demons don't level up. Instead, they rank up by defeating enemies, but once their rank is at its highest, they won't go any further than that. Graphics are mediocre at best, as you can see, and they only stand out during the battle animations. The music though is great, but there's only a few themes since most battle maps play exactly the same song. Overall, it's a good game with some interesting characteristics, but it's extremely repetitive, mostly due to the huge lack of dialogue scenes. I'd recommend this only to die-hard SMT fans like me. Number 4. Shining Force CD. If you didn't know, the original Shining Force had 2 direct sequels where you play as the offspring of the main characters. They were released originally on the Sega Game Gear as Shining Force Gaiden 1 and 2. For some bizarre reason we only got the second one in North America, but then both were remade on the Sega CD together in one release, and we did get that version. It is necessary to play the first Shining Force to understand them, but not the second one, which is its own thing. So the story follows a new conflict, but not related to the kids of the previous heroes. They look and play exactly the same as the original game, even having almost identical UI, interface, animations and art style, including the gameplay, which is still tactical but still within the confines of the map designs. Characters move on grids, they each can use regular attacks, items with a limited inventory, and give stuff to someone else during battle. The class system is also back, as in characters can class up after they've reached a certain level, but now you have these small areas which are your base of operations, one single screen to prepare for the next battle and so on. So overall, they're both great games and follow-ups, though I'd like to point out that they're significantly harder than the original game. Other than that, if you're a Shining Force fan, you'll probably enjoy this duology. Number 3. Mana Khemia. First released on PS2 and then ported to PSP, this is a spin-off of the Atelier series, though it is considered as a main title. You take control of Vayne, who joins the Al Revis Magic Academy. Here, students have to form small groups and perform assignments with a workshop as their base of operations. Within the workshop, basically known as the Atelier, you have a cauldron. This one serves the exact same purposes all cauldrons do in every single Atelier game: to synthesize and craft stuff. However, characters here have a really strange skill tree system connected to it. To learn new abilities but also equipment, including accessories, you need to find the right materials. Most of the assignments will have you exploring the world around the academy, like different areas or dungeons. The goal will be to find something or defeat a boss or something similar. Enemies can be seen lurking around in the form of these blobs. Battle system is in turns, with an interchangeable party of 3. 3 front attackers each, of which can be switched at any time for one in the back. There's a turn order affected by speed, and every character has regular skills, attacks, or the ability to use alchemy items. Music is amazing, with some badass battle themes by Daisuke Achiwa. Graphics are nice, especially if you're a fan of pixel art and 2D animations. They look great during battle. Number 2, Mana Khemia 2. This is a direct sequel, with some returning characters now being teachers. 2 main characters star here, and you can choose between them. Each will have their own exclusive party members and workshop, but the setting is the same. The All Revis Academy, a bunch of years after the events of the first game. While it still plays the same, and since you'll have assignments needed to be completed in 1 week, the skill tree system is a bit different. Everything else is the same, including alchemy, material finding, exploration with visible enemies, battle system in 2D, switchable characters during combat, etc. In fact, even combat seems more polished with better UI, interface and menus, as well as character animations and quicker loading times. This is an excellent RPG and one of the best Atelier games in existence. We didn't get the PSP port for some reason, with very few things that are translated but not the story. So as of the making of this video, the PS2 version is your only choice. Number 1. Growlanser. Finally, after so many years, the first Growlanser ever has been fan-translated. Strangely though, only its PS1 original version was, not its PSP remaster, which is apparently the best version of it to play. Well, we can't look a gift horse in the mouth, so here's my review of this game. You play as Carmine here, accompanied by a fairy homunculus created by his adoptive mother and his sister Louise, a Growsian. These are humans who were born under an eclipse and are magically enhanced, so the plot slowly starts revolving around that until an ancient evil manipulates everything, provoking a war between the 3 nations of the continent. Carmine is a silent protagonist and will take a test at the beginning by interacting with NPCs. This happens in every Growlanser game, and it's to decide which type of starting stats you'll have and what kind of growth you'll have when you level up. The story is great, written by Yo Haduki, with rock-solid character development, which includes a bonding system with party members, leading to different routes and endings. The translation, however, is a mixed bag. Many people worked on it for decades, going on and off, but long story short, I believe a big chunk of it ended up being machine translated for its completion, and as a result, it can be very rough sometimes. Surprisingly, it's almost 100% fully voiced with Japanese dub, impressive for a late 90s RPG. The gameplay is traditional town-to-town exploration. All towns have a bunch of stores to buy items or equipment from. Inventory is limited though, only 9 of each item can be carried. Every character can equip only 1 weapon, 1 armor, and 1 accessory. Each one can learn new abilities when they level up because you earn points to spend on each. Anyway, an overworld connects all areas and there are a few enemies around, some of which can be easy to avoid. The battle system is real-time strategy. Every time a battle or a main mission starts, you have to give orders to your allies. A maximum of 5 can be in your active party though, but sometimes you'll have an extra guest controlled by the AI. So a menu will appear for every character, which you can trigger at any time during battle, and you can tell each character what to do: attack, guard, cast a spell, move to a specific direction, etc. The Growlanser series is known for having a very creative mission design in conjunction with that system, as in often you'll have a different objective to fulfill, from escort missions trying to keep every NPC alive, to time limits to kill someone, escape, or complete the battle. It gets addicting and intense sometimes. And let's not forget, every character has an attack waiting bar that needs to decrease for each to execute any action other than moving. The same rules and penalties apply for your enemies. So apart from the traditional gameplay and unique combat, you'll eventually unlock a parcel of land where you can pay money to an assistant to build a whole entertainment district. Though the only purpose it serves is to have an additional place you can visit during your vacations, which are a few days you get after every major mission or chapter. Places like these or regular towns are where you can talk to your party members and trigger scenes that increase your bonds with them, which will affect the ending you'll get. Good graphics here, visually appealing with pixel art, and the beautiful character art by Satoshi Urushihara. Music is alright, with only a few themes to stand out, and the rest is okay at best. Overall, this is an excellent game, and it was definitely worth the wait. It's very long though, over 40 hours of playtime, which was unusual for a low-budget PS1 JRPG back in the day. And while the translation isn't great, at least it's understandable, and the game is fully playable. Hopefully it'll improve by the time they can translate the PSP remaster.